Hi, everyone. I'm coming on today to share some information with you about human design system, how to use it in a snapshot to understand yourself and to understand your loved ones. This has been a huge eye opener for me. I've been exploring all the systems, as some of you familiar with my channel might know. And human designs, the subconscious and conscious gates, as well as the channels, were just like a really I found such a concise way to capture as much information as possible about someone's core signature frequency without having to spend hours. And also for those who aren't familiar with astrology and how astrology works, um, this system incorporates astrology and it incorporates I Ching, um, the the ancient book of changes, and gives people really in-depth information uh, in a point form about all of their basically the aspects of self that are streaming in and creating their core signature frequency um, through the planets as within as without. So I'm just going to jump on here and share my screen. Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick overbrief of who designed the system. So it's this guy here, Alan Robert Krakauer, and he is actually from Montreal. So born on April 9th, 1948. And he, at one point, received information through, I believe it was the Gate of Epiphany. And he just started writing the system. But obviously, everything, all the systems and all the information that we bring forward is basically a turnover of information, you know, that was previously there. And we're all kind of taking in information. And then through the transmutation of that information within us, through that alchemy, we incorporate our core frequency into it. And then we produce a slightly different version of that information where we can offer more, right? We can offer more information about information that's already out there. So without going too deep into that, he felt like he was connecting with um, an energy, like perhaps his soul energy, Ra, Uru, Hu. And he created this system. So we're going to look at this system today. I've been working with people doing readings for them, and it's just so accurate and so on point that I have to, uh, give people. I always feel like sharing information on how to use these systems for yourself with people is so important, like sharing information. Um, Once you start specializing in something, share what you learn, right? And even for leaders who are out there who are kind of stuck and they've come to a certain level of mastery, I always offer the advice to share more of what they have learned. And this way, everything keeps on just building and expanding. And people are able to, we're all able to grow faster through what we share. So, this is a chart of someone who I chose to use as an example today. And what you could do is you can go to a website like this. Let me just type it in. Human design chart free. Right. And then I think this is the one. Yeah, I often use this one. And then just log in here the information, date of birth, blah, blah, blah. And then it's going to give you your chart. And astrology, when I do astrology readings, like and I'm teaching people how to start using astrology for themselves, like you have to start learning about like the planets, right? And all these glyphs and what they mean, and the house systems, and what each, you know, planet is going to represent in the different house systems. And then after that, we're looking at basically the alignments um, of the different planets to each other, and you can get into harmonics and stuff like that. But not everyone wants to go that deep. They just want to have certain tools to be able to do a reading on their children, to better communicate with them, to be able to do a reading like on their husband or wife, or, you know, close friends. To the whole goal is to enhance communication. And especially if you have a conflict with someone, I highly recommend doing their human design chart, you know, asking if you can have their human design chart if they don't want to share their personal information in terms of birth date. You just ask them, you know, to send you this. And most of, you know, the conflicts that we go through uh, between humans is just a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding. So by understanding, you know, people, it's just, it's, there's a certain amount of acceptance, and also like it facilitates, you know, how you're able to communicate with them more fluidly, and to understand their motives and how they're made up and how their core frequency is just vibrating. So if you want to book a session with me on this, I'm just going to type in this right away. This part done so that everybody could see. You can go to my website, which is inspiringplayfulevolution.com, and under Insight for Leaders, I set up a 1-hour penetrating psychic insight session, which is $60. So I'm doing this. I'm offering this instead of it being like a 6-hour session where I go into the systems of gnosis, and then I just juxtapose all these systems to gain a greater understanding of the patterns that are the most prominent within that person's charts, and then give them a reading based on that, which sometimes is, you know, anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. It could be a little intense. It's for 185, and I definitely prepare enormously for that. And it's you know, it's not something that people can always afford or have the time for. So if you go for the Insight for Leaders, which is my part of my core frequency, the 1-hour penetrating psychic insight, you could just, you know, add that to the cart, and then we can set up a session, and I can do this for you, with you, if you want some more insight. And it's a session, it's around 2 hours max. So I condense all the information, but I've just found this kind of way fascinating to fast track, capturing as much depth as possible, as much information as possible, to give to the person about their core signature frequency. And I've had so much positive, you know, so many positive comments and feedback on this process. So we're going to dive right in. If you want to do your chart, you could just go ahead and do it as I do this person's chart. And you want to first, like I mentioned previously, get your chart here. Once you get your chart, excuse me, you can pop it up on the screen. And the first things that I look at are on the left here. I'm going to look at the type, projector, profile, definition, inner authority, strategy, not self theme, and Incarnation Cross. The reason, you know, why this is a real core information. That's kind of like the foundation that the subconscious drives the gates here, these subconscious gates, how they show up consciously. You know, the foundation is still what's here on the left. And then within the body chart, it shows you some of the channels that are activated. So this person's a projector, so they don't have much activated. Projectors are pretty open in terms of they're taking in a lot of information from other people. So they're often feeling other people, I guess is the best way to say it. And then what ends up happening is these people end up getting projected on. But let's just go here and we're going to look. I go through, I just go onto the web browser and then I type in like whatever it is I'm searching, and you can choose whichever website comes up that you like for you to use. Okay, so we're just going to type this in. And you're going to get like a bunch of stuff, right? And all these different websites. I use this one for looking up the gates, and I really like A Human Design. Yeah, I just like their presentation more. I discovered them recently. So we're going to jump on there and we're going to just look at, where is that? No, not that one. Move this down. Projectors. So understanding the projector in human design. So they represent about 20% of the population. Unlike manifestors, generators, and manifesting generators, projectors don't have defined sacral centers, which means they don't have a consistent internal energy source for work and action. The fundamental difference significantly shapes the projector's life experience. So projectors are known for their deep wisdom and their ability to guide and direct others. They have a unique ability to see and understand others in a way that can bring clarity and insight. This can make them excellent advisors, coaches, and consultants. Their aura is focused on absorbing and allowing them to penetrate deeply into the other's energy. So when you deal with projectors, you could feel it. And so depending what you have here, is really going to be like I said, that foundational understanding of like the person's type. Manifestors are very unique. If you've dealt with a manifestor, they are on a mission and they're just kind of out there doing their thing. And you kind of have to work with their energy a bit differently because they're very focused on where they want to go and they're just moving towards their goal. Generators, on the other hand, are often generating information, generating energy for that other people can use. So look at this. I'm not going to go in depth, but you want to look at your type, right? And you're going to go and you're going to read the type. And once you read what your type is, you're going to have a few aha moments with that. Okay. And then you want to look at your profile. There's a lot of different profiles. If I go here and I just look at profiles, you can see all the different profiles here. This one tends to pop up a lot recently. So this is this person here, their profile 2-5 is the hermit heretic. Very specific in terms of energy. They're referred to as the hermit heretic or the hermit teacher, highlighting the unique blend of the second and fifth lines characteristics. This profile carries the potential for both a need for solitude and a strong calling to guide others with their insights. The hermit nature of the second line loves to be alone and engages with the world when it feels right or when invited keyword there. While the heretic energy of the fifth line carries a natural ability to share practical wisdom in a universal way. Already combination, like I know a lot of people have the 2-5 profile and they are serious hermits, but you have to know them to really understand that energy, and they go in and they're in their process. And then when they come out, they're just able to share so much wisdom. But they do get a lot of people projecting on them, is something that I've noticed. There's a lot of mixed feelings. I don't know if they go into this here. So understanding the hermit, second line profile is known as the hermit, reflecting its preference for solitude and natural inclination towards introspection. This line carries an inherent talent or genius that often needs the recognition of others to be brought into awareness. This is because the second line energy tends to be unconscious. The person may not realize their unique gifts until they are pointed out by others. And then it gives you talent, challenges and strengths. So this is where they get projected on. Another challenge comes from fifth line projection field. People with a 2-5 profile can often find themselves the object of others' expectations or assumptions, which could lead to misunderstandings. This can be especially challenging when the projected expectations clash with the individual's inherent need for solitude and introspection. So you want to go and you want to read, what your profile is, right? I'm just showing everybody, this is an example profile, but really I'm just showing people how to do this for themselves. So after that, we have the definitions. The definitions, again, are extremely important. I go back to this, like when I'm doing a session with someone, I really go back to this because, if you're someone who has a triple split definition, for example, you're like 10% of the population, like these people basically need to be around other people all the time to feel healthy and happy, because they need to have a lot of interaction in order to activate like all of these, like what's in their body system. Where is it? Right here. Like they need to have these centers activated, and they need to interact with people in order to get the energy flowing, right? In order to complete what they're here doing in terms of soul mission. And so if they stay alone for too long, it's just, they start to go into all these crazy modes of entropy and stagnation. So that's really important. And so you want to read through this in case you are, one of these lesser percentages, the triple split definition, quadruple split, and then no definition. This would say here, it says, there are no consistent channels of life force, and the person would be a reflector type. If you are a reflector, life force definitions would come to you as a sample. How the hell do you get rid of this thing? Do not try out AI-based journaling, whatever you do. Kind of bothers me that they have that on the website, but anyway. It means that as a reflector, you have the potential to move on and not get too caught up in the fixed nature of others. Okay. So read through what your definition is, and if you're in a single, is this person in a single? Yeah, this person's in a single definition. So, people that are in these upper two, like they could do a lot on their own because there's already things at play within themselves that they are completing. Like it's almost like these internal missions, right? Lessons that they come in with. There's like whole storylines going on, and they're working things from within themselves, and they don't necessarily need to interact with a lot of other people in order to accomplish some of the goals that they set out to accomplish within this life. But if they do have you know, if they do have openings in that system, then yeah, they will feel that calling to go and reach out because they know that they can't complete everything without others. And so they'll reach out and they'll need to connect with people at a certain point in order to fulfill certain aspects and to continue growing in learning. So you want to look that up for yourself. That's going to be tremendously important. And then inner authority, again, a huge part of the person's foundation. Where do we have the, yeah, so we have them here under centers, but again, you could just go and type in, you know, what inner authority it is and get your answer from other websites. This one's just really laid out like really well and concise, and it's easy to access all the information on one page. So yeah, solar plexus center is going to be completely different. They're like in their emotional authority. Sacral, it's, you know, a lot to do with the feeling body and sensation, emotions on a deeper level connected to intuition. Like these are definitely two different types of intuition. Splenic is more about survival. So the spleen is our oldest and most primal awareness. The spleen is also completely existential, meaning that it only works in the now based in instinct. Yeah, so we're dipping into instinct here. It is what is often referred to as intuition, but instinct is definitely different than different forms of intuition that you can find in these other centers, like going to the Ajna center, solar plexus, more like an emotional intuition. This is really like a deep instinct. So the body knows, the body knowing runs through the lymphatic system, like little tongues, noses, and ears covering the body. It is like, it has like cat-like senses. Defined spleens have a fixed sense of well-being and can know in the moment how to act in order to survive and be healthy. So it kind of, you know, looking at which center you have activated as your inner authority will really show you like where how you're running things like on that level, like which emotional center, or sorry, not which emotional center, but which energy center, which part of your, like the subtle layers of your body are you truly kind of based in, and you know how that colors your experience here in the world. And I can confirm that this person is definitely has, you know, lived their whole life on this sort of really instinctual level. Like it's just boom, like it's just they're making decisions, right? Big decisions based on like instinct. And other people who have like a lot of this filled in, and then they're like, how do they do it? You know, like people that are really intellectual just don't understand how like someone who has like a splenic authority could be really successful based on like instincts, right? So that's really interesting to go into. And then the strategy is really precise and really bang on. Like you either have, I don't know what all of them are, I've forgotten them now, but wait for the invitation versus informing others what you're going to do is like a huge, like those two, you can really tell the difference between them. People who are waiting for the invitation, or, oh yeah, there's waiting to respond as well. All of these are like very specific energies. And if you know, right, like one of your children, or like your coworker, or like just people around you, if you know what their strategy is, it just makes it so much easier, right? Because some people are literally waiting for the invitation. Some people are just like they wait and then they respond. And some people are just informing you what they're doing, and then they go ahead and do it, right? So the challenge is if you're someone who just responds, you don't tell anybody typically what you're doing. you don't give any information. You don't inform people around you about what your next steps are. You're just kind of, waiting and feeling out what's coming at you and then responding to that. And so again, like going back to the idea that if, we're doing this work for ourselves and for those around us and we're enhancing communication, like this one really comes in handy. And so you can learn to communicate to others and inform others more if that's not, typically your strategy. You can kind of understand like, oh, now I get it. This is just how I go about things, but other people don't go about things in this way, right? Um, and and so, if you're working with a child who waits for the invitation and you're someone who informs and then just acts, like you're going to realize like, oh, I need to actually think to go out of my way, right? And to go and invite that child into a response, into uh, an activity, because they're just there waiting, right? Because that's their energy. They're going to wait for the invitation. And so like this could be applied on so many levels, right? Even someone that you're interested in working with, and like you will have to go out there and make that request in order for that person, they feel like, okay, I got the invitation, now I'm going to go participate in this. Or so when you're not in like yourself core frequency, you're going to fall into, and they have a bunch of adjectives here to describe a state that a person can be in this case it's bitterness, and it could be frustration, it could be anger, but that's when that you're, when we're working against ourselves, right? A lot of emotions can come up that are negative, but like it gets tricky, right? Like you can't, you got to take everything into consideration, but just as like a one-off, that if you're in that bitterness, like for this person, if they're in bitterness, it's like, whoa, they betrayed themselves on some level, right? They're in a sticky situation because they didn't know themselves well enough. They didn't know who they were dealing with well enough. And then they're in a place of bitterness, right? Or it's like frustration, whatever it is that comes up on your chart to describe when you're not in your self theme. Just kind of gives you a little bit of information. And then this is really important, the Incarnation Cross. So you want to look at the Incarnation Cross. There's plenty of them. We're going to go here. Incarnation crosses. You got all of these, like there's tons. And this again talks about a human's strategy, right? It's almost like life plan strategy. Kind of see this as related to the North Node. And I know that this is, connected to astrology, and I don't know exactly how Alan made the connections within himself as he alchemized astrology and the I Ching to come up with this system. But I feel like this talks about, life theme and also incorporates some of the what would be described otherwise as North Node. So this one here is right angle cross of contagion, which is an awful name, by the way. I don't know who chose that name. Well, I do know who chose that name. It was Alan, but I don't know why he chose it, because it's a really great whatchamacallit, Incarnation Cross to have. So we're just going to look at this briefly to give you an idea. I really like this website, A Human Design, for the description of these. So the Incarnation right angle cross of contagion, you have to be careful. You got to incorporate the numbers in there, because there's different, you have incarnations, like similar ones where it's like right angle cross of contagion, but with different numbers. So make sure you type in the numbers. The power and resilience of this right angle cross of contagion and human design is made up of gates 30, 29, 14, and 8, which if you look at the person's chart, it's these ones here. It's the sun, the earth on the conscious, and the sun and the earth on the subconscious realms. And basically, it's found in the solar plexus center, sacral center, and throat center. Those carrying this cross are recognized for their compelling life force, commitment to their promises, strong sense of power, and unique contributions. A synergy of life force, commitment, power, and contributions. I know this person, and this is exactly how they are. Extremely committed, like tremendous follow through. And this is what allows this person to get their projects up and going and completed, and like what really brings success into their life. And so you can read through what yours is, and they are all so unique. And once you start, reading these different incarnation crosses of your family members, especially people that are close to you that you're just going to be mind blown, because it's so accurate in terms of like capturing like that person, the theme of that person's energy. And everyone is here doing something different, right? And it's really gonna just allow you to understand people better. This is the whole, revolution. So yeah, go see, oh yeah, right angle cross of spirit. There's some really beautiful ones, like mine. But some of them are, challenging, and some people do have like, I did a chart recently, and the person's incarnation cross was, I forget exactly which one it was, but the whole theme was just this emotional upheaval, right? They're having to feel so much, like the theme of their life is all about this like deep feeling and going through emotional turmoil and learning through emotional upheavals, and it just helped me understand this person on a like next level. And oh my gosh, like I just felt like I was able to support them more. Like I was like, I know where they're coming from now. Like I didn't really see it before. And so it opened up these doorways in the relationship, right? To just support the person better, because that's kind of my signature frequency, right? So it's like, how can I support this person? It's like, doing this work really allows me to support people on a whole other level, and to accept, right? Because we're also just learning to accept people, right? Everyone is like so unique. Like every human being is so unique on this planet that we're like a different species, right? And if you, and if, anyway, I won't get too deep in this one, but so this is what we're kind of trying to get at here. Incarnation Cross. Look it up, read it, go back to this information kind of over and over a few times, right? Because in order to really like we catch things the first time, and then the second time we can catch that deeper layer. The third time you can really catch it. So I recommend to people writing notes, right, for each one on this paper, like print out this paper and then write notes next to each of these, and doing the subconscious and the conscious motives, and then go back to it, and you just get this snapshot each time, and it could be used as like a quick reference, right? Also for when you're working like with your kids and stuff like that, you just pull it out, you're having an issue, and you're like, look at it, and you're able to find solutions much faster. So I'm going to sneak in here and add, so I'm going to add the next step before the subconscious and conscious motives quickly. It would be to look at the channels that are complete within the person's body system. So some people have many channels that are complete, meaning there's not only half filled out, they don't need another person to complement that channel in order to um, fulfill uh, themselves and complete that uh, goal. Usually it's an internal goal that they're seeking to fulfill, like an understanding, something that's going to help them gain knowledge and wisdom and learn in life. And so when you only have half of this channel completed or any of these channels completed, you're going outside of yourself to connect with someone, connect with the world, to have experiences in order to have that learning come in and be able to evolve from it. So the channels that are complete, there's different meanings according to, like, I'm not going to go into they are, but depending on, it's just a solid red or red with stripes, black, and then the empty ones, the white ones. But in a brief overview, you can look at like the specific channels that the person has completed already within them. So we're just going to take an example here, and we're not going to do them all for this purpose in this video today, but to show you that you would do them all and you'd write them all out, and you'd write out exactly what each channel is, and then read into it and understand that that's core part of your signature frequency that's already completed and that's being completed within yourself. So it's a bit of a contradictory, but yeah, those two are happening at the same time. So these energies are completed within themselves, and then we come into the realization of them throughout our lifetime. So this one in particular is 1648, and we can go over to the tools here, and we're going to go to channels instead of gates, and we're going to look at 1648, which is the wavelength. So here we bring the intuitive expression of logic to the throat. Again, notice again that this channel has no direct access to energy. That means that talent and mastery have to be recognized by others when the timing is right. Talent is expressed through practice over time. Talent also struggles for resources and money because it has to be seen to be supported. The arts are always hungry for money and support. This is why shows and exhibitions are important for artists of all types. They have to be seen. This channel represents the intuitive expression of talent blended together with repetition over time. Talent is raw and undeveloped without practice. Everyone has some kind of talent. The question is, are you willing to practice to become a master? Mastery happens over time. So it speaks of, this person having, latent talents, right? And potentially even, really activated talents and mastery, but that it has to be recognized by others. So this is a channel within themselves, and this is sort of an internal practice where they're, within themselves, that little soul mission is happening, and they're practicing and practicing, and then eventually they become recognized for that talent. So that's, and then you have all these different channels that a person can have. And again, these are bang on, accurate, like someone who has the alpha channel, they're just typically leaders. And you will see, leaders will have the alpha channel, people who are, really just like the discovery, pushing upwards. So that, like, there's all these different channels. I'm not going to go into all of them, but those are really key in understanding. And these are kind of all the different threads that, weave the universe together, and people are interacting with each other's channels. And channels are things that are complete sort of gifts within ourselves that we can offer others, and we're also accomplishing for ourselves. And we don't necessarily need anybody else on the outside to, for example, you can have a talent, and in this case, that talent can be really present within you. And that talent is still that talent, and it could be a mastery. and you could be in that process for yourself, and then whoops, but eventually someone will come and recognize that talent. And yeah, who knows what could happen after that in terms of, working with others and stuff like that. So you want to look at all these different channels, and they're really, really telling about that person's core signature frequency. Um, and and so yeah, once the channels are done, then you can move on to the subconscious and conscious realms. The left side here that's in red is, we're going to look at the gates, right? These gates that are activating through these planetary positions, right? Through the north nodes of the moon, through like the soul spark, the sun, their Mercury. You have to know what these mean. And this is where I'm not going to go into this in this video, but you have to know how Mars, like what exactly Mars is, right? In terms of um, qualities, in terms of what aspect of your consciousness it is, right? What does Mars do? Mars drives a person. It's the driver of desires, but it's that firepower, right? That gets the engine going, gets the motor going. Venus is a lot to do with the expression and that creative expression, um, and um, our relationships, right? Mercury, the mind. So, like, I'm not going to go into all of them because that part you're going to have to do on your own. This is just too much to have in the video. But we're going to look at each one here, and I'm just going to give you an idea of how it works so that you could do it for yourself. So we're looking at the subconscious of the soul spark. So the subconscious gate of this person's soul spark is, we're going to go here to the gates, and we're going to look at what number we're looking at? 14. Okay. So we're going to look at 14. It's the gate of power, skills, energy. Okay, it's the gate of power, skills. Energy fuels your direction in life. It is the channel of the beat and is called keeper of the keys. Ooh, I like that. It carries with it an assurance that wealth or the accumulation of material things is guaranteed. Okay, I know this person. This is completely accurate. Okay. This energy is fuel to empower the self. So on a subconscious level, this person carries this energy. Their soul spark is seeking power, skills, okay, that fuels the direction in their life. Channel is beat and is called keeper of the keys. It carries with it an assurance that wealth or an accumulation of material things is guaranteed. So this person comes in with a goal, a life mission, right? They're like, okay, I'm gonna go and I wanna learn how to manifest material wealth in this, on this plane. So boom, it shows up as gate 14 in their astrology. So right here, let's see if I can just add some information right here. So you want to just, as you're writing down the information, like you print this out, you're writing it down, you're going to put all of these right next to it. This is how I've been doing, and it works really well. We're just going to line it up. So gate of power, skills, right, comes up the subconscious. And now we're going to look at the conscious, how it shows up consciously. So the person might have access to the unconscious motive driving their soul spark, right? They might know that about themselves because they've done enough work and they understand themselves. So they're aware that this is a conscious driver, a subconscious driver, I mean. But how does it show up consciously? So if that's the subconscious motive, right, of the soul spark, how does that show up consciously for the person? We're going to look at gate 30. So it shows up as gate of recognition of feelings. Is the energy to recognize feelings that are pushing for change. So let's read that again. Gate of recognition of feelings is the energy to recognize feelings that are pushing for change. Once recognized, the emotion to change is conceptualized into action that will relieve the pain or sadness and create a real change. So this person's core subconscious motive is this materialization of wealth. Like that's the path they're on. And then consciously, right, if they're unaware of their subconscious motives, all they're feeling is like it shows up consciously as like a recognition feeling. So again, we're going back to like this person's splenic authority. Like it's really coming in through instinct for them. And they just get a feeling that they need to, that something's pushing for change. Why? Because they are looking to increase, their material experience here and what they're able to manifest, right? And this person isn't a materialistic person at all. So they have accumulated a lot of material possessions for themselves, but they're not, they're very, that's the thing. You can't really judge based on that, because being able to manifest material things doesn't mean the person's spiritual, or have a deeper spiritual connection to their infinite self, right? It's just like that's what they came here learning to do. So yeah, it shows up for them consciously as like a need to change, probably because they hit like a wall and they're like, okay, I'm not on my mission. I need to be, manifesting this thing in the world. And so they're just going to feel it as there's like, they're just going to recognize that feeling, and it's like a push for change. And then once they recognize it, the emotion to change is conceptualized into action. So that's how they, come into action with their soul spark, is the recognition of this feeling. And it's a relief of pain. So a lot of times when we're not in our core frequency signature based on like our soul's evolution, we're going to feel again like that not self theme, like a bitterness, but often like when we're feeling pain, it's just because we're not on our path, right? Often when we're feeling pain, we're resisting something within us that is just going to allow us to move onto our path, like, and to be in the flow with our soul, right? To be soul activated and aligned with that aspect of self. So this person senses it this way. So that's really interesting. I'm thinking as I do this one. And so then we look at the second one here. And you want to write it down as well. You'd write gate of recognition of feelings, right? And write the number down, because I didn't do it this time, but I find it really helps to write down the number when you're looking afterwards. So gate 30, recognition of feelings. And then obviously it's not going to fit here because they only give me this giant writing, but yeah, so you write down next to each one what it is. And then you have a quick chart where you could see on one side the subconscious motives and how they show up consciously. And then by looking at each one, especially once you understood what each of these represent, right? Like your North Node, right? If you're already aware of what each major aspect in astrology, what each major planet represents, you are going to like this process is just going to be awesome. Because you won't have to learn that stuff. And I really like looking at like the North Node. But all of these are crucial, right? You have like the ego here, like the moon, which is really like that radar of the mind. The person's like what creates their ego, in many senses, and ultimately, what creates this astral layer around them. So let's just look at the moon quickly. So this person has 50. Subconscious motive is gate 50. Oops, let's take this out. So gate 50 is gate of values, is the energy of values and rules. Yeah, like this one. This gate controls or dictates the rules of the tribe. These rules are all about caring and making sure the tribe is cohesive. Yeah. So I'm already seeing this person more as I go through this. Um, and so, the material, the soul spark kind of emanates into this plane regarding material manifestation has to do with all these other placements, and one of them being the ego, which shows up subconsciously as like the gate of values, right? And rules, and understanding how those rules work in the tribe, right? And like the true king or queen, by understanding rules and the true value of things, is going to make better decisions regarding the tribe, and how to keep the tribe together. And so these rules are often related to food and provisions. Yeah. So like someone with this gate will be like, let's say if anything were to go down, they would be the first one to say, okay, we're going to feed the children, we're going to feed the elderly. Okay, we're going to go get, they'd be the one, like, in terms of survival, to start like making sure that everybody's eating, and everyone's going to have food for the next month or whatever. But how does this show up consciously? I'm really curious. I'm going to do this person's full chart after, but I'm just using it right now. I'm not going to go through all of them. It shows up consciously as 11. So if I go to 11 here, so that gate shows up as gate of ideas, is bringing together uh, ideas in the formation of the story. Yes, it is sensing energy, and is not logical. It is the sorting and piecing of images to create the bigger picture of story. So how it shows up for them consciously is their process of bringing the ideas together and the formation of the story. Like they're consciously participating in that from an egoic level. So the relationship with self within, and that internal dialogue, and how they are like piecing together all these images to create like this bigger story is really rooted in this this desire to ensure that the tribe survives, and it's really rooted in like this gate of values and rules. So right there you kind of get like a really clear snapshot, right, of how this person's mind works. And I'm telling you, these are bang on. I've done it for so many people, and you know there's so much relief in just knowing, like, yeah, like once you see it, you're like, yeah, this is me. This is how I work. This is how I function. And now I can not only accept myself, I get better understand myself in order to start working with these energies more and creating better outcomes, tapping into them more and using them more. And then also seeing like, oh, because some of them are more challenging than others. So let's just look at this person's north node, and then I'm going to end it there. But you want to do you want to go down, write all of the gates on either side, and then just sit back and look at this and look at how things are playing out for you subconsciously, how they show up consciously. And, the North Star is where the energy from previous lives and from this life, where it's all culminating and bringing you, like where you're reaching towards in your next kind of level of evolution. This person's 35. on a subconscious level, and then 16 on a conscious level. So let's just see how this lays out. 35 on the subconscious level. The gate of change is a sense of need for change. Okay, the wheel needs to keep turning. I know this one. It is not a logical next step, but it is sense that is the right direction to go in. Like a wheel, like walking around a wheel. There is no need to be another step. Right. There will need to be another step and then another step to keep the wheel turning. So it's kind of like just this sense that things need to keep evolving. Um, and that's the person's north node, subconscious drive. Interesting. And then we go to 16, how it shows up consciously is the gate of skills. Energy is talent for life, which has an enthusiasm for expression. Music, dance, art, and speaking are common expressions of this energy. Without the complementary gate of depth, the expression of this energy may be varied and shallow. Coupled with gate 48, there is depth. For example, in the group knowing, okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's just kind of like, you want to read through this, and this is interesting. Like, I'd have to look at the whole person's subconscious and conscious drives and then take into consideration like all the factors here on the left to really understand, like get more information on the depth of that north node. But I know that this person is constantly tapping into creative energies and like, you know, seeking new skills, like open to it. And, you know, we all have put certain limitations on our life in terms of like, the roles that we've chosen to take on and what we can do within those roles, right? If you're someone who, has spent your whole life becoming, a horseback rider, for example, and then, within that, there's certain limitations because the lifestyle will constrain you to specific routines and rituals that will really enhance, your ability to evolve in that direction. And now, so then jumping out of that and being like, actually, I really wanted to do stand-up comedy, right? Or something like that. There's going to be this whole jump in um, trajectory. And often that's what the North Node is kind of like. It's, we have to sort of step out of what we've been doing and cultivating in this lifetime in order to move into the energies that we're supposed to be evolving into, like within this lifetime, and then setting us up for um, a certain type of awareness that allows us to kind of ascend out. So I'm going to wrap it up right there. I think that this gives people a really good amount of information that they can work with. And like when I walk people through this and we just go through, their subconscious motives and how they show up consciously, they're just like, oh my God, I understand myself so much more, because this, especially the subconscious ones, we're not always privy to, having had the experiences that allowed us to do the shadow work, to really see ourselves for truly who we are, like to really see those subconscious motives driving us towards these conscious expressions. Right. But then just looking at the subconscious ones alone, it's like, okay, I get this deeper layer of myself. And some people have them, like you can see here, Neptune on this person's chart, the subconscious is the same as the conscious. So there's no kind of unearthing to do. There's no shadow work to do. It's like what is driving them subconsciously is also how it's showing up consciously. And so I have seen people that where it's like there's, quite a few of them where that shadow work, it's like it was done already. They show up, they're like they know themselves. Um, but for a lot, it's just really different. Like in this person's chart, most of them I think don't line up. Yeah. So again, goes back to this person's, they're running off of this instinct Um, so they're how things show up and express for them consciously is really, it feels instinctual to them. And they might not be aware, they're probably not aware of these deeper layers, motives, intentions, goals, soul mission, da da da. So there you have it. I hope that this helps you to do your chart for your loved ones and to understand them better. And of course, first to do this for yourself and truly understand where your skills lie and, where your gifts and challenges are. And if you'd like to book a session with me so that I can walk you through this one-on-one, again, just go to, you know, the website Inspiring Playful Evolution and click on, where is it? Insight for Leaders. I have it under here for now because I haven't actually put up a separate offering for it. 1 hour penetrating psychic insight, but I tend to attract, people who have really strong leadership abilities. So I'm just putting it under here, and I have it under a 1 hour session. It could be a bit longer. I think it could go up to like 2 hours, but I'm going to try to condense these because it is only $60 Canadian. So you want to take advantage of that. And I am more than happy to work with children. I love working with kids and giving kids this knowledge and information in a way that they can understand and that's digestible to them and kind of have fun with it. And and to equip them with information that we should have been taught in schools and we should have been learning, um, to help us understand ourselves. And like this is a science. Astrology is a science, and all these systems that are based off of these ancient systems of knowing ourselves is it's complete science to understand how everything's interrelated. And to think that we don't have these tools available to us, like they're not typically taught to us in schools and like within society, it's just mind blowing. Because once you know yourself, you cannot, you basically, you, once you know that your strength comes in knowing yourself, right? You can't really go that far off track. You can't really, um, you know, end up making decisions that are really going against the path that you've chosen to go on, right? And that's what creates all the problems, right? It just takes everything out of like, the chaos and brings it into um, this like beautiful alignment with your core frequency signature. Especially like for me, for example, understanding the North Node and the South Node. Like the South Node is like what we habitually default to, and the energy that we can often end up projecting out onto, in this world because it's what we know best and it's potentially what we mastered in previous lifetimes. Um, and then like just that alone, saying like, oh my gosh, I know my South Node energy so well as described here. And that's not the energy I'm moving towards. And then the energy that I'm moving towards is just like, yeah, it's an evolution, right, of the South Node, but it's slightly different and it's significantly different enough for when I made that switch and that recognition. It's like so many things in my life just changed because of that recognition. So I think, yeah, there's some really, really important things in here, and also just things that can help us understand, unresolved conflicts from the past or conflicts with loved ones. So please come on by and, book a session with me if you're interested in doing this work for yourself. I highly recommend it, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful, autumn, change of seasons. All right. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.